workshops, seminar and camps. My second co-host is Dr. Gampa Vijay Kumar, Dean, Professor, and Head of Department of Pharmacy, KGR Institute of Technology and Management. This institution is sponsored by KESA Society. Founder and chairman of this society, Sri Leon K. Govind Reddy, an industrialist with 2 decades of experience. This webinar is powered by Qual Pharma, the first and most cherished introduce our first guest, Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. Over to Gampa.
Hi, hello, good afternoon. Welcome to all to today's international webinar. I'm happy to introduce Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. He's a leading independent researcher, pharmaceutical consultant, and having more than 40 patents. It is very great to hear like a personality who is having more than 40 patents. He's having more than 28 years of industrial experience in formulation, development of solid orals, liquids, nutraceuticals, food products, and also in establishment of pharmaceutical industries. Dr. Agrawal is postgraduate in biochemistry. Really, it is very happy after completion of his MBBS. By passion, he entered into this biochemistry and developed n number of the units with the formulation developments with liquid orals, nutraceuticals, and then he is an editor-in-chief of several national and international publications and then journals, and he published more than 60 his research articles. Dr. Agrawal received various awards for his valuable support and contribution in healthcare and pharmaceutical sector. Dr. Agrawal is a great visionary and believes initiative in bridging the gap between industry and academia. This is a very important role he played in fulfilling the gap between the industry and academia so that students may update every day-to-day developments to lead their future to the global standards. Welcome to the Dr. Sanjay Garu. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Namaskar.
Welcome, Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. Sir, I would like to ask that what are the after effects of COVID-19 pandemic on healthcare and pharmaceutical industry?
Namaskar, welcome to everybody, and especially thanks to Operant Pharmacy Federation for inviting me on this panel discussion. And I'm very happy to see such a great personalities. They are with me on the board, and will be very great pleasure. A very important question is being asked by Madam Anshu. There will be a lot of changes after this pandemic, after COVID-19. And the most important is on the healthcare and pharmaceutical industry. There will be 4 challenges will be there. And number 1, the medicine demand and supply issues. Number 2, engagement with the healthcare professional, that is the doctors. And number 3, the clinical development, that is CRO, and the new product launches. And 4, the future healthcare system and pharmaceutical industry environment. So overall, after the lockdown in the pharmaceutical, especially the Indian industry, the domestic industry, there will be a number of changes. Number 1, the availability of the manpower will be the primary concern. Number 2, only the industry will able to utilize less than 60%, but much higher than the other industry. We are going to have utilize our capacity to only 60%, not more than the update. Reason is very simple, because due to the lack of the manpower in India. But if I compare to other industry like the IT, automobiles, I think this healthcare industry will be in much better shape. Number 3, logistic challenges, especially for the transport, for the export as well as for domestic business. And 4, the heavy stocks will be available with the customers and distributors. And 5th, the drugs approval will be very faster with the Ministry of Health or with the DCGI FSI, especially more related to coronavirus. We are directly talking to the vaccines. We are talking more about the antiviral drugs. And we are more serious about the domestic market, because domestic market will have as a better role and have better role as compared to export business from India, due to various reasons. If we see the domestic market, there a lot of changes will be there, but changes will be on the positive direction. We are going to gain it. We are not going to lose it. No. So there will be high sales in certain states. Whatever the figures I am giving, this is all which we have done the pilot study, and that study has reflected these figures, these statistics. No. So high sales will be there, like Maharashtra, Delhi, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Gujarat, and Uttar Pradesh. Sales will be more than 50%. 7% will be moderate sales. And the manufacturing burden will be there. The hub, especially to Himachal, Uttarakhand, Sikkim, and the most burden in the manufacturing will be on the Maharashtra and the Telangana and Andhra. And the health infrastructure, especially we are talking of Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh, among the high to moderate burden states have been poor infrastructure and could see the delayed recovery, because the infrastructure is not there, and that is why they are not able to cope up the situation. These two important states like Madhya Pradesh and Uttar Pradesh. And then we come to the around 55%, the functional plants, they will operate. They will operate, but they are going to operate the capacity of 60%, because the low manpower. I'm talking about the functional units. Those are the big units. They have a turnover of more than 500 crores in India. There is another, the small units which have a turnover of 49, around less than 500 crore. They are going to perform only 49%. They are not going to produce, and they are not going to match with the demand and the supply, due to the insufficient amount of the raw material. If I go to the functional unit, if the segment wise, you'll find the functional unit, they will produce only 43% of their capacity. The antiviral, they are going to produce only 50%. The antibiotic, they are going to produce only 55%. Analgesic, they are going to produce only 57%. And anti-allergic, they are going to produce only 58%. If I go to non-functional units, those are less than 500 crores, they will produce only 30% anti-malaria, because the raw material will not available, API will not be available with them. The antiviral will be only 20%, antibiotic will be 19%, analgesic will be 15%, and anti-allergic will be 14%. If I go to the reporting insufficient API stocks, manufacturers, their status about the regarding to production, the anti-malarial, they are going to produce only 50%, antiviral will be 40%, antibiotic will be 48%, analgesic will be 37%, anti-allergic will be 50%. There will be shortages as distributor level, as a stockist level. The anti-malaria will be available only 50%. The antiviral will be only 60%. Antibiotics will be 59%. Analgesic will be 52%. Anti-allergic will be 52 to 50%. Basically, will be great gap between the demand and the supply. The most of the factors which we observed during our survey, that was the manpower. The another factor which is going to impact on the industry, that is the raw material production in the states. No? The operational, what it will the effect on the operational areas in the pharmaceutical industry after the COVID-19. The 65% stockists will reduce their working hours only 4 hours a day due to the labor problem. My distributors, my stockists, 4 hours instead of 8 to 9 hours, because the labor problem is there, the manpower is not available. Then we talk 50% stock will operate with the 50% workforce. Normally they require 100%, but due to the manpower will not be available after COVID-19. So only the 50% workforce will be with them. And that is why their performance will be only 65%. That is why there is a gap between the patient and the stockist. The patient will not receive the right amount of the drug with them. The sales will decrease by 50% and no impact on the inventory level. The general inventory level we maintain, and 70% companies will increase credit periods. Actually, the credit period in India, normally where we see, it is around 30 days. They give 30 days to the retailers, to the chemists. But after the COVID-19, their credit period will be more than 60 to 90 days. So the cash flow will be somewhere, it will be hampered. And 65% stock is sales with the OTC product, not the prescription product. The OTC product means patient will go and directly he will talk about the drug. He will go and talk about the branded molecule, not with generic. No, that will be a straight impact on the industry. See, the prescription, the size of the prescription will be reduced with the branded and with the generic. No, and if we see on the clinicians, what will be effect on the clinician? What will the effect on the doctors? So the doctors, around 57% Indian doctors, they will start having inclination for the Indian companies, not the multinational companies. They will give them more priority to the Indian companies than the multinational companies. And the doctors, they will require more on 66% scientific update on new drugs. Because the time has come after COVID-19, a lot of new molecules will come. And when the companies will launch the new molecules, because this era will be the branded era, not the generic era. Right now also in India, it's not generic, it is a branded. After COVID-19, it's become more branded. So in one of the survey when we did with the chemists, we saw that the OTC brand will take better shape over the prescription shape. So that is what the doctors, they will get the information from companies. They will ask more about the scientific information. They will ask more the clinical information. They will ask around 42% safety profile of the drug because the drug is new for them, So they will ask for 42%. That is why I mentioned in that the CRO will be very important. The clinical research organization, they will remain more alert and active after COVID-19 because new molecules will come and they will engage more and more in clinical trial. One is for the approval from the government authorities. Number two, to satisfy my clinician. And around 42%, they will ask for clinical data or for the new molecule. And doctors' interaction with the patient. There will be a great change after the COVID-19. The 82% doctors, they will entertain on the phone calls instead of the personal meeting. Due to the hygienic condition, still, in the back of the mind, they have some psychological. They want to maintain the distance, with the patient. So they will entertain the phone calls around 82%. 78% they will talk on the WhatsApp, and 41% on SMS. Around 29% they will entertain the emails. They will try to reply and they will try to get the patient's complaint. And around 11% on the video call. If the patient is sick and not able to come to the clinic, probably they will request the patient attendant to go to and give me the video call. And around 10% are live digital. It's become very popular now, the live digital. So these will be overall impact after the COVID-19 on the domestic business. As I mentioned, the export business will be is going to lose extensively after COVID-19, which we have already seen from the last three months. The shape of export is very bad as compared to the domestic. Maybe if we see the last 3 months performance in domestic market, it was quite increasing. Lockdown was there, but the sales, the impact of the sales were not very high as we were having in our mind about, but it was up to the satisfactory. Thank you very much.
So which therapeutic segment will get affected much?
As such, if we see the therapeutic areas, like emetinics and progesterone in gynec will decline significantly. Number two, the wellness treatment, like multivitamin, food supplements, as well emollients, they will hit the market. Nutraceutical, because the patients and general public, they have in their mind about to immunize their body. They want to take body immunizers. They want to enhance the body immunity, and that is why they will jump on nutraceutical. So nutraceutical hit the market in after COVID-19. The antibiotics will decline, especially the oral antibiotic will decline extensively. Yes, the injectable parenteral antibiotic will gain extensively, and antifungal will decline. Macrolides, a class of the antibiotic, like especially azithromycin, will drastically increase. And among the chronic care, plain angiotensin receptor blockers or dual hypertensive, they will increase, but increase very minimum, not beyond our expectation. As a prophylactic, the increase will be 87% as a preventive drug. Immunity boosting agents such as vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, other respiratory drugs like cough, cold, anti-allergic, anti-asthmatics, they will gain by 87%. And the potential treatment like anti-malarial, especially chloroquine, hydroxychloroquine, anti-infective like azithromycin, antiviral, lopinavir and ritonavir, definitely they will grow by 87%. And critical care, the drugs which are used for critical care, it will take the jump around 78%, especially meropenem, cefoperazone, vaccines, BCG, hepatitis. These are the areas, because these are being used for the acute respiratory disorder, and that is why the critical care medicine will take the very important, there will be growth. And if you see the specifically therapeutic area, they like in anti-infective, probably they will decline by 16%. The cardiac will gain by 6%. The gastro will decline around 9%. The anti-diabetic will gain by around 2.4%. Vitamin will lose. It will decline by 6%. Respiratory will decline around 8%. Pain and analgesics will decline around 7%. Dermatological products will decline around 6%. Neurological pain around 4.8%. And gynecological will decline by 9%. As I mentioned earlier also, due to the hormone is a basic drug which is used by the gynecologist. So they are going to lose around 9%. The oncology will further decline. 5% patients are there, but the attitude of the COVID-19, the attention will be there on the acute stage, not on the chronic stage. That is why the oncology section will decline. Hormones will further decline around 5%. Ophthalmic and otological will decline by 20%. Vaccine will gain, it will around 6%. Urology will decline. Blood related will gain around 12%. Others will decline around 0.4%. And sex stimulant will decline by 30%. Stomological will gain the market around approximately 1.3%. Anti-malarial will gain 10%, which is obvious, because after the COVID-19, even during the COVID-19, it was a very good market. If you see the Indian players, I am talking the first 10 companies. What is the status of 10 companies? Whether they have maintained their status, they are going to maintain their status or not. So like there are certain companies, they will reshuffle. As per our statistics, the Sun Pharma will have the first position in India, which has around market share probably 8.4%. After will be second number, which will grow by 6.9%. Shipla will maintain on third position. As such, if we see the horoscope, the Shipla, which is before the COVID, after the COVID, they are maintaining the third position due to their innovation style, due to their innovative ideology. That is why they are maintaining third position, and they will grow. They will take the market share of around 5%. Mankind, they are also maintaining their status around 4.3%. Lupin, it's with on fifth position. and approximately 3.9% will be market share. Torrent will be on 6th position, 3.7% will be market share. Alchem in 7th position, it is a shifted, Alchem has gone up, it was on 9th number, but probably they will come on the 7th position with a market share of 3.4%. Intrans has also improved. Probably they will improve the position and by 3.2% market share. Zydus has declined, It was on 7th or 8th position, but they have come to 9th position due to various reasons, 3%. And Macloids, they also improved their position. They were in 12th position, but now probably we are predicting they will come on the 10th position with a market share of 2.9%. And probably the Stars brand, the Stars brand will be there, like Mixtard, it's our insulin preparation, Volini, Becasol, Dexorange, Essilog, Gmar, Tan, Galvasmat, Lee52, Pan D, Thyronorm, Shalcal, Glycomet GP, and Dufestron. These will be star brands, because as our survey has mentioned earlier, the OTC will be dominated after COVID-19 as compared to the prescription-oriented brand. And the prescription doctors are searching and observing for the new molecule. This could be one of the reasons. That is why they are going to lose the conventional products. Convention, they were asking for the innovation molecule, new molecules. So this is the overall scenario that will have a impact, in the therapeutic segment after COVID-19. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir, to explain the after effect of COVID-19 pandemic and the effect on therapeutic segment. Kindly throw some light that what are the effect on employment after COVID-19 in pharmaceutical industry?
As such, the pharmaceutical industry in the domestic market, is definitely, it will be in double digit. Most of the first 10 companies in which I have spoken, they all are growing, though nobody is negative. And the good and planned companies, strategically companies, they have maintained their position, and some of the companies have changed the position. Like I said about Mankind, it was on 7th, but probably it will come on 4th. And the same in Intas has improved the position. Macleod has improved the position. And there is another news, because the companies, those were in China, they have taken the approval from the health ministry to install their API units. Around 1,000 companies have already got the license. They are already going to install the production of the API, especially the intermediates. So when such industry, these manufacturing plants will come and they are going to set up their manufacturing facility in India, definitely the employment will not be a very big issue for the pharmaceutical. The pharmaceutical, there will not be any scarcity, and the employment will improve, I think, as compared to before the COVID and after the COVID. I think employment will be more and more. Only the labor, those are unskilled, where we'll get some problem. But employment will not be a problematic issue in the pharmaceutical. I'm talking the pharmacist. The demand will be more. The regulatory, the more scope will be there. CRO, they will ask more pharmacists, for they definitely they require a qualified people for conducting the clinical trials, regulatory dossier formation and all. I think the employment will not be a challenge after COVID-19, especially the qualified. The doctors, they will also fully engaged, because a lot of new molecules will come, a lot of clinical trials will be conducted at various places, various centers. So unskilled and skilled, both will be occupied. As compared to other industry, if I talk about the automobiles, IT, textiles, I think healthcare industry will be very in better shape as compared to the COVID-19. We are very optimistic. The data which we have generated after doing the market, the survey, it is quite enthusiastic. It's quite enthusiastic. So the employment will not be a very big issue. The employment, they will be, I think, there is a good scope. The unemployment ratio in pharmaceutical will be lower as compared to textiles, auto, and IT section. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Agrawal. We have now session remark by Dr. Gampa.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sanjay Garu. And then before going to giving remarks, I would like to ask only one question with the permission of Chair. Shall we expect any changes in thought process of human beings due to this COVID-19?
Can you repeat your question because voice is breaking somewhere?
Yeah, any changes, any observation? Shall we expect any observation, change in observations in living conditions of thought process of human beings?
Yes, this is a pure evidence, and not only we are talking about the general public, even my clinicians, clinicians are psychologically, they have something in their mind, and that is why they are going to entertain my patient around 82% on the phone calls. They will not meet personally to my patients, and their entire life and career, they have not worked on the email. But after COVID-19, around they will 41% they will entertain SMS, and around 29% they will entertain on email. As such, clinicians normally they don't entertain the electronic media. They always boycott the electronic media. But after the COVID-19, see, because they're the hard immunity, their immunity, they feel the patient who is going to come to me, probably he may coronavirus, he may be the positive. So they will not entertain. And not surprisingly, I'm sure there are certain doctors have cultivated and created a long length stethoscope. The stethoscope they will give to my patient and talking on the 5 meter. Not on the centimeter, 5 meter. They will ask to my patient, take the stethoscope and talk to me from the 5 meter. So video calls. So this is the dramatic changes after the COVID-19. So somewhere very, very happy that because doctors are very conservative, they don't use the dynamic, they are not so much dynamic, and they don't accept the electronic media. They don't entertain. But I'm sure after the COVID-19, they will become a very young, like a school and college going, and they will work with the electronic media. So we are very happy. Even the patients, they will not travel from the home. They will talk and make the call, and they will take the remedy, from my doctor's friend. And when they type on my email or on the video calls or on my WhatsApp, the spelling will be correct, The spelling of my medicine will be correct. It not be like a zigzag. So it can be easily readable by my patient, readable by my chemist also. That will be a great achievement of the COVID-19.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Agarwal, presenting the economical impact and social, like in living condition, normal human public, and then operational and impact of development during COVID-19. And then I strongly believe by following all these formalities and then usual distance maintenance and all this WHO guidelines, we can lead ourselves to globally. Thank you. Thank you, one another.
My pleasure.
Yeah, Anshu.
We have now brief introduction of speaker by Mr. Vikram Chaudhary.
Iti.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me, Vikram?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Vikram, for the nice introductions, and uh, would like to really take an opportunity to thank the OPF group and all my panelists to be invited for this session. Uh, can you see my screen, Vikram?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much. I think I'm all right. So, clinical research. My topic is careers in the clinical research with Dr. Sanjay, highlighting some of the factors that how the clinical research will shape up. I would like to share how it is going to shape up. What are the opportunities for the students? For this industry, various different roles. I will touch base. But before we go into the details, just a quick, take that what is clinical research, and as we know, any research which is done on the human being, either it is a healthy or a patient, is called clinical research. And the objective of this is to really know better, that what are the better treatment, better ways of knowing things, or either it could be a medical device. And uh, we know now in the current pandemic situations, either we talk in the society, we watch the news, we read any articles, there is always a reference of COVID. And I'm happy that there are a lot of discussion which happens on news that these drugs are in phase 2, phase 3. I'm sure you will also share the same experience that some of my relatives, friends who have no idea about clinical research, they start asking, expecting that when are we getting the drugs, when are we getting the vaccine, and why it is taking so long. So we are, as a clinical research professional, we are in the right frame of mind, currently right set where we can capitalize in this industry. If we go into the types of the clinical studies purely, there are observational studies and interventional studies. And you see a difference between both of them is, in the observational studies, typically the investigator who runs or who conducts the trial does not assign any treatment. Typically this patients will get treatment as a part of their routine care, and they are being observed for the outcome. An example could be for observational study, be a breast cancer registry study, where the study is looking for survival of the patients post treatment of Herceptin. While in case of interventional studies, this is where the patient or the participants will receive or will be assigned to one or more treatment, and this is typically been given as a part of their trial participation. And example could be like you're doing a phase 2 or phase 3 studies for safety tolerability with the PK of uh, any molecules in rheumatoid arthritis. Typically, these are the largely the number of interventional studies that are done are more, and they are the prerequisites for the uh, they are the prerequisites for conducting the for the approval development of the drugs or the new devices. If you look at to this is a very encouraging slides for me. Look at to the uh, when you look at to the this slide is there is a snapshot of a global map covering the number of clinical studies registered as of 31st May. And this reports that there are 3,40,000 odd studies which are distributed across various geographies that you can see. The red color represents the higher densities of number of trials, while the green or orange, light yellow color represents the lesser number of clinical trials. And if you see based on the type of the intervention, there are 79% of studies are observational, while 21 are 79 are interventional, while 21 is an observational. So it is important, why this distribution, how this distributions, and what it means to us as we move. If you look at to the number of studies over a period of time, this is trial.gov. So this is a website, or this is a registry where the clinical trials are expected. Because I'm getting some disturbances. Yeah.
No, it is clear.
Okay.
The voice is clear.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. So this graph represents from 2000 onwards till till end of May, the number of clinical trials which are registered on the CT clinicaltrial.gov. So clinicaltrial.gov is a clinical trial registry where every CRO or a sponsor is expected to register if they are doing a study for US FDA for the US market. And you can see in last 5 years, the number of studies have become double. And this is an encouraging news that how the clinical research is growing up. Not only that, the number of molecules, the cost that runs is also significantly increased. And not only that, but the way the clinical trial is conducted, the complexities have also increased. And I mean by the complexity is the number of procedures, the number of endpoints, the steps which is required has also increased in last 1 decade significantly. If you look at to the last 30 odd years of US FDA approval, timeline chart with the number of molecules divided into the new molecular entities and biological license applications, you could see in last 10-15 years that the overall number of molecules getting approved per year is increasing, is in upward trend. While you see the dark blue color, which talks about the biological license applications, the biological, where there is a huge focus that has come in how the biological drugs are being developed and approved. There are different paths in which you can have an expanded access, you can have accelerated approval, but we will not talk about that. And if you little bit zoom into what are these biological and how impact it has created, so antibody is one of the biological drugs approved. And if you look at to this chart, since 1975 to 2019, it talks about the antibody market, and the line which represents is the overall market in the billions of US dollar. And if you see that some of the journey of monoclonal antibodies started in 1975, and somewhere in 80s it started into the market. But if you look at to the last 10 years or so, there is significant increase in the number of molecules, and the spread, the market that these molecules are capturing is is very, very high. Those red colors that you see are some of the molecules which are these are the 10 molecules which are the highest selling monoclonal antibodies in 2018. And you can see those biosimilars of these molecules are also started coming, especially for trastuzumab, bevacizumab, rituximab, and adalimumab. So if we talk about the biosimilars, the biological molecules are likely to, and you see some of even for the treatment of COVID, some of this companies who are working in this area are also going to capturing the area. So this is typical life cycle that most of us may be aware that how a molecule or a drug becomes a drug. And I don't want to really get into this because this is a very standard one. The more important one is the stages which are given is preclinical, clinical, NDAs, the new drug applications, and post-marketing stages. And the typical life cycle that we know So currently we know that the current cost of new drug being in development cost is around 2.6 billion, and the cost is increasing. Somewhere in 1970 it was 180 million, now it is 2.6. So you can imagine that how much amount of investment is done by the pharmaceutical company. The important message is here on the preclinical, clinical, the four verticals, because in my next slide I'm going to show that what are the different functions, different department that works typically to develop this, contribute this in the success of development, and what are the various skill sets, high level based on my experience that is required for making success to that. So if you look at to the preclinical, so preclinical will have, these are very high level, and we can discuss in quite detail with each one in more details. But after the drugs have been identified with the scaffold, typically they are studied in the preclinical phase with animals and for the toxicities, while the formulation department is working on the typical department. Under this department, the preclinical research associates or the formulation scientists or the associates will work. And in case if you want to work in the animal or in the toxicity department, you need to have a good knowledge on PK/PD, which is pharmacokinetics and pharmacodynamics. You know, to have a sound knowledge on the various guidelines and understanding on the bioanalysis. While if you want to pick up your career on the formulations, then various scientific depth apart from the routine knowledge on the pharmaceutical technology will be required. If you move, once the molecule moves from the preclinical to the clinical, this is the longest, largest, and the most expensive phase of the life cycle development. And you see from there, the planning of the entire clinical trials that starts in the various regulatory documents which gets created, which gets submitted to the regulatory agencies for the review and approval. While that is happening, even the department like clinical operations or the BAB centers will come into the picture. The document that requires, which is typically stored in the trial master file, and these are all under the regulatory purview. When the inspection happens, the creations and the regular maintenance, will also be required. So various roles that comes in are the clinical research associates, the site startup, where when we are doing studies at a particular hospital, you want to conduct a feasibility, whether this trial can be conducted or not. Are there any infrastructures that are manpower or not? So this is done through a feasibility, and which is done by a site startup, specialist. Typically, these hospitals, the investigators are also, legally bound between the CRO and the sponsor through an agreement, and this agreement, along with the commercial as well as financial part, is covered in the site research budget, which is a CTA typically. And apart from that, once the sites are getting ready as a part of their readiness, the local ethics committee approval will also required, and there are specialist roles to create such dossiers, and their submissions, will require. So if you see, apart from that, I will cover some of the activities like monitoring, trainings, conduct of the studies in a later part. But this is more from the CRO, sponsor's point of view, that how these studies are set up and planned. The various skills which requires is the teamwork, commercials, collaborations, communications, and traveling. So these are the very standard, standard things. But with the change in the COVID, the traveling is going to less likely, and remote is going to get replaced. There are a lot of new things which is coming up, by doing it remotely. If you go into the next one is the regulatory. We know that any trials that we start, we need to have a regulatory permission. Not only that, but once the permission is there, we are expected to keep the regulatory agencies updated on the progress of the clinical trial, as well as the outcome of the studies and the plan for the next studies. So typically this is done through a dossier creations, their submissions, and if allowed or required, presentations of the study, that why we are conducting the study and seeking the permissions. Apart from that, while this is done, the drug which is to be investigational product, which needs to be also kept ready, their labeling, their storage conditions will also fall under the regulatory department. And typically the strategy, that if you want to conduct a study, whether your strategy is to start with local and go global, or you want to, start with the global and then local, all this strategy, the timeline, the regulatory requirements is typically designed through a regulatory department. And this is where we need to have a commercial understanding, the respective role, the competitive intelligence that, what are the regulatory requirements, what are the marketing footprints available in the respective countries. The different skill set which will be is like, this person, the group, people from this group of team has to be very, very sharp on their writing, on their, understanding on the regulatory guidance and their implications. And the typical roles could be a regulatory associate or a regulatory manager, If I move to the documents creations, the medical writing and the central clinical team. So in the medical writing team, this is a group of team who will write the various documents which will get used, in the conduct of clinical trial, which starts with protocol writing, drafting various study documents like diary, investigator brochures. Once the study is over, you will write a clinical study report, and then you will write a, publications like a manuscript. And as the title suggests, the person has to have an excellent clever for writing. The typical role starts with the medical writing associates. Apart from this, the central clinical team, which is where the core team who runs the clinical trial, who will monitor, and these are again as a part of regulatory requirement, who is doing a QC, QA, risk-based monitoring, and certain some of the knowledge skill set which you require is data science, trending, machine learning, AI. We need not to be an expert on this, but having a brief understanding on this will be of help. And various role can be like a central monitor. I know, we will hear more about artificial intelligence in the next sessions from Dr. Zari, but these are some of the roles that plays an important play. Various vendors, like a cricket team, every player on the field and off the field is important. Same way, various supporting vendors plays a very crucial roles. This could be like drug supplies if you are doing an oncology study, imaging, the EPROs, the study supplies which is required, or in case if you are doing randomizations, controlling the balancing of the treatment across the arm or the country. The ratios, all that can be done through an IVRS, and these are typical supplies that is done through these vendors. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, the central roles, the project manager plays a crucial role in managing all this moving pieces and making sure that trial is run properly. Though all this stakeholders are important, the most important stakeholder is the site. A site is nothing but it is a hospital where the trial is expected to conduct, which could be an SMO, site management organization, or the affiliated ethics committee. And various roles could be like a study coordinator, clinical pharmacist, investigator, SMO manager, or unblinded pharmacist, where you want to make sure that the treatment given to the trial subjects are not known to anybody except the unblinded pharmacists. And various roles could be, as I mentioned, under various function stakeholder, like an EC coordinators, EC members, or EC secretary if you are working under ethics committee. If I move to the different other departments, these include data management and the statistics, biostatistics department, because during the trial conduct, a lot of data will get generated, and it is important that they are captured, cleaned, analyzed, queried, and they are, analyzed for a meaningful outcome. So this is typically done by the biostats department, and various roles could be like a DM project and biostatistics or program team, in order to ensure that the safety of patient is ensured and there are regulatory compliance are met. The pharmacovigilance department will play an important role, and a lot of people even not only just during the study, but even after the study, when the product is launched, this will continue, wherein people will work on DSURs, PHURs, in case based on these safety signals, if there are any changing in the IP, if there are black box warning, this is all done through the pharmacovigilance department, and somebody can start their career with drug safety associate as a, as a career. There are specialty departments, as we move on, are real world late phase health economics and outcome research, the technology department, because as we know that the remote activities are getting a huge shape now. So technology plays an important role in doing that. These days, with new guidance coming up, the real world plays a very important role. Like for example, when you see in the next slide, I would like to spend few more minutes on the real world in the next slide. That what is a real world? So real world is nothing but a data which is collected in a real world setting. And very basic example could be that if you want to buy a car, when you go to a showroom, they will tell you 10 kilometer per liter is a milestone. Is an average for fuel efficiency. But when you really go into the actual, you will ask your neighbor or a friend that on road how much is the mileage. So this is nothing but the figures which is given by the salesperson is in a controlled environment, while the data which is shared by your neighbor or user is a real world data. And this is nothing. This also happens. Similar philosophy also happens in the pharmaceutical development, and this is nothing but it is a real world data. And from that data, when you created some evidence where you make some inferences after doing an analysis, it's called real world evidences. And somebody, if you're really interested, you can visit the USFDA website. There are new guidance which is coming up on the real world. Just for a very basic understanding that the difference between the real world and the randomized clinical trials are, the real worlds are, as I mentioned with an example, that they are done in uncontrolled, while the randomized trials are done in a controlled manner with limited restrictions prescribed by the protocol with limited populations, so to say. And if you see, because the control mechanisms are lesser in the real world, you will see a low data quality, but in the randomized clinical trial, you will see a higher, higher level of quality. This is the, the real worlds are done in observation, while the RCTs will be done in the interventional way. And you see in the latest, the real world data is also getting a lot of limelight now. In last 1 decade or so, you see a lot of publications are coming up in the real world data and the real world evidences, so to go. And if you see a lot of drug which gets approval also gets packed or as a part of their data package, or as a part of their approval commitments, the real world studies or data plays an important role. This is a very contrasting part. We'll spend 1 more minute here on this. And if you see from on this, on the y-axis and the x-axis, there's a number of patients being treated because the randomized clinical trials is a smaller sample size. It does not mean that there are faults or there are lacunas in this. This is how the guideline regulatory science is getting changed. So once you have the license approval by say T or EMA, the drugs gets approved into the market, and you see a widespread drug prescription footprint coming into. And this is where you see almost 10 times, 15 times exposures of the drug, and the data which is collected in very uncontrolled way, in a very routine care. If this data is collected, analyzed, we can generate a real world evidences which will help in some of the safety signals. And not only that, based on that, we can find out some of the secondary indications which a sponsor would put as a label extension for a particular drug. Going on to the some of the key competencies will required for a clinical research. This is a whole set of some of the things that I mentioned. Needs to have a blend of science with ethics, having operational experiences, and some of the leadership skill to run this, while have a blend of understanding on the technology with the data management and informatics will be of important for a good clinical professional to be a successful or enhance their career. While the technology, the professional part is important, but when I was going through, I don't want to sound more on the behavioral part, but the Angela Duckworth's the grid principle in the current timeline will be very, very important, for us to remain, in this field with the growth, resilience, instinct, and tenacity, where perseverance, persistence, to reach what we want to will be important for anybody in clinical research, for that matter, will be crucial. With this, in the latest, India, if you talk about India, there are new rules released, in 2019, and they were the best rules with clear, transparent, accountable, not showing anybody that we will have corona pandemic striking us sometime in 2020. But having this framework really helped the clinical research industry, and with the regulatory agencies in a very consultative and quick to act with the clarity on the compensations part. You see, the latest some of the new scripts which is coming, the agility which the industry is working with, number of trials running on COVID, or by looking to the government, though even in spite of new city rules, the government is still thinking how can we hasten the approval, how can be more effective, while the various bodies like ICMR has come up with a newer guidelines. So this all talks about the agility which with the industry, with the academics, the industry, as well as the regulatory agencies and the government is working, is very, very encouraging. And this is a right, as I mentioned in my beginning, this is the right time, right space for the industry to be. So in my conclusion, I believe that clinical research is a booming industry, and it is offering a very rewarding, career options. India can become a, global hub for the clinical research with various advantages that we have. But it will be important for all of us to be very, very collaborative and, utilize the best conducive situations that we have been given. Believe me, the number of trials, the important slide that I was referring about the map, China is running around. Hello. The China is running around, 1,700 trials, while country like Korea is running 10,000 countries, while country like Taiwan is running 6,000 plus, trials, while India is running currently, as of today, from the source of clinical trial, is around 5,000 plus. So you see, the capacity at which we are currently running this trial and what we can do. So there is a right platform which is given. The best will be, our goal should be that we conduct a quality trial, which will assure that there is a, protections to the human subjects with the highest quality of data. I believe that the future of clinical trial in India will depend on how quickly we move from just, talking or discussing about the potential to the, really utilizing, by investing into the human protections. It could be a clinical research professional, it could be a participant, or it could be an industry-wide people. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh, to enhancing our knowledge on clinical research and trials. I request Vikram to give some remarks on the session.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
I request Dr. Gampa to give the brief introduction about speaker number 3.
Yeah, welcome Dr. Palaniswamy. Palaniswamy is an eminent academician and researcher and have more than 13 years of teaching experience and more than 20 years of community pharmacy experience from MMC, Tamil Nadu, and also MPharmacy from Sri Ramakrishna Institute of Pharmaceutical Sciences, and PhD from MJR Medical University. He published more than 60 research papers in various national and international journals and has been serving as a chief editor to n number of the journals, national and international, and also board member to the journals. And he received many grants from ICMR, DST, and International Medical University, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Dr. Palaniswamy has been awarded with Outstanding Researcher in Pharmacology Award in 2018 and Education Leadership Award in 2019, Global Knowledge Management Award in 2020. His main area of interest are cardiovascular and diabetic medications, oncology, and pharmacovigilance. He is having more than 20 years of community pharmacist experience. I think his lecture is more useful nowadays to the pandemic situation of COVID-19. Welcome to the today's session, Dr. Palaniswamy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the introduction. Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Is it visible, the slides?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah,
Yes.
you can make it a
Clearly.
full presentation, Dr. Palaniswamy.
Okay. Because I'm not able to see the slides. Okay, I will make it full one. So now it's visible, right?
Yes,
No.
visible.
Okay. So
Now it is visible.
good afternoon to everyone. I'm Dr. Palaniswamy Sivanandi from the Department of Pharmacy Practice, School of Pharmacy, International Medical University, Malaysia. So we are in the lockdown period, and some are enjoying our life because we no need to go to the office, and some are struggling to complete the tasks and taking online classes. So many things are right. So today I'm going to talk about a very interesting topic on how to improve our immunity naturally to fight against corona. So we know that the coronavirus started from China, and from the city of China's Wuhan. And now the echo sound is coming actually. Okay. So
Mr. Vikram is speaking.
I can hear some echo sound actually. Okay. So
I think this is all right, Dr. Palaniswamy. It's very well.
okay. So the virus started from the city of China's Wuhan, and now almost 216 countries affected by this virus. So you can see almost all the countries in the world affected by this coronavirus. It is unexpected, and we didn't expect that we will be at home for almost 3 months. Normally, when we go to any relative's house or any function or anything, we will come back within 1 or 2 days, right? But here, we cannot go outside, but we are supposed to sit inside the 4 walls, and we have to spend time almost 24/7 with our family members. It is a golden opportunity, but there are a lot of problems even in the golden opportunity. So we'll see that. So the coronavirus, deadly coronavirus, that outbreak started from the city Wuhan, China, and started spreading from December 2019, and still almost all the countries affected by this coronavirus and spreading again and again. As per the WHO announced this coronavirus outbreak as a pandemic on March 11th, 2000. And this is a SARS-CoV-2 type of virus, and it's a beta coronavirus like MERS coronavirus and SARS coronavirus. This virus is a spherical or pleomorphic structure having single-stranded enveloped RNA. It is covered with a top-shell glycoprotein. There is a crown-like structure over the top of the virus. That's why it is called as coronavirus. And there are some subtypes of virus are there. There is a coronavirus, alpha, beta, gamma, and delta coronavirus. So far, almost 58 lakhs of people affected by this coronavirus worldwide. and almost 4 lakhs deaths so far because of this coronavirus. It is unexpected death due to a sudden incident. According to the age, we can say there are both men and women equally affected by this coronavirus. You can see the picture here, but mostly the elderly people affected by this coronavirus are large. So this picture says that almost the people above the age of 60 years having more death rate compared to the younger and adult people. So the elderly people are more vulnerable because due to the coronavirus disease because of the lack of immunity or so many degeneration factors in the body. So there are some symptoms of coronavirus which is very similar to the common cold or any other respiratory illness. So the main symptoms of coronavirus are fever, cough, and shortness of breath. You may have high grade of fever and repeated cough and shortness of breath, and the symptoms may start from 2 to 14 weeks after the initial exposure to the virus. Apart from these three symptoms, you may have some other symptoms like chills, muscle pain, sore throat, and loss of taste or smell. The intensity of the symptoms may be vary from different age group, and it will be very, very severe to the children as well as adult people. But in case of these symptoms will be more vulnerable or more severe in elderly people. Apart from these symptoms, the patient may have some gastrointestinal symptoms like nausea, vomiting, and diarrhea. If you have any of these symptoms, you are supposed to consult a doctor. Don't think these symptoms are very similar to the normal common cold. So if you have these type of symptoms, consult your doctor first and seek medical attention as soon as possible. Normally, when a virus enters into our body or when any pathogen enters into our body, our immune system will be triggered. So the immune system will develop or fight against the antigen. So the immune system will produce antibody. So the antigen will combine with antibody. Antigen-antibody complex will be formed. This complex will destroy the antigen. If you have enough amount of immunity, our body can protect our system from the disease. If we don't have enough amount of immunity, we will get the disease and we have to go for a proper treatment. This picture shows the different types of immunity. I'm not going to talk about what are the different types of immunity. Just I will say a few words about immunity. So normally we are getting enough amount of immunity from our mother. That is known as innate immunity. At the time of birth, we will get some amount of immunity from our mother. So the organ, tissue, cells, or the immune system. So everything we are getting from our mother. So it is innate immunity. But during the life period, we will get some amount of immunity. When a pathogen enters into our body will respond to the antigen or the pathogen and it produces immunity. So there is acquired immunity. If our body is not able to produce enough amount of immunity, at that time, we will take some vaccines or sera to fight against the virus or the disease. So that is known as acquired immunity. And what are some symptoms related to how can we prevent the spreading of the disease? First, you have to wash our hands with running tap water by using any sanitizers, maybe 80% alcohol, 60% alcohol, use the sanitizers. So these sanitizers will not kill the organism, but we can use the sanitizers to clean our hands and to wash out the organism from our hands. And do not touch eyes or nose of your mouth with unwashed hands. This will transmit the disease to your body. And the government says that always stay at home, because staying at home is very, very essential now. Otherwise, if you're going out, you will transmit the disease to others. Otherwise, you will get the disease from others. So you are supposed to be at home. Unless necessary, you are not supposed to go out. And we are supposed to maintain the social distancing, at least 2 meter distance from one another. So this will prevent the spreading of the disease. And whenever you cough or sneeze, you have to cover your nose and mouth by using tissue paper. If you don't have any tissue paper, you can use your elbow joints to cover it. And always you are sitting at home and doing a lot of work, maybe office work or homework, a lot of things. So whenever you are touching your area, frequently means you are supposed to clean the area, make the area very tidy. Okay, this is to prevent the virus spreading. Even though the government is asking us to stay at home, almost last 3 months we are at home, and it's not an easy task. Correct. So it is not easy task to sit and ideally do something. Even when we are going for office, we will see our friends, we will have some chit chats, and we will share our feelings and all the things. But now we are at home almost 3 months, and it's not an easy task. We may face a lot of problems. So what we are doing now, here, almost all the countries are in the lockdown. The busiest city in the world, that is in New York, in the lockdown. Again, the Paris in the lockdown, and the Moscow in the lockdown. Again, Malaysia, almost the last 3 months we are in the lockdown period, and Sydney in the lockdown, and India, the world largest population, the second world largest population country, India also in the lockdown. Right. So almost last 3 months we are in the lockdown period. So what we are doing now, we are spending less time with our neighbors, relatives, and friends. This is very unusual. And most are working from home, and some are working for home, and some are taking rest, and students are going through their online classes. Either a lot of softwares are available. They are going through all online classes through the media. And few lost a job, and few other people had salary reduction or due to pay. So these are some of the issues we are facing. And this unprecedented situation put a lot of pressure over employee. Not only employee, it's a pressure for employer also, and also family, kids, and all other affected people. And it has directly or indirectly created pressure or tension over almost all the people. And some people have lack of job security, and it's some other people have lack of job security because they daily wages having lack of job security, and economic imbalance. We are not earning money, but we are spending from our savings. So the savings are dropping again and again. So this is economic imbalance. And workloads. If you're not planning well, the dumping of work will be there. So workload will be more and more. And family quarrel. Even though we are spending time with our family, we can't see our family member 24/7, right? There is no other entertainment. So there is a possibility for family quarrel and postponement of important assignments. Some assignments, some important works we can do online, but some other things we have to go and meet the person, then only we can complete it. So we are postponing that type of assignments and unsure about the future. We don't know when the coronavirus will end, when we will go back to a normal life. Okay, we whenever they introduced the 144 section, whenever they introduced a lockdown, we thought only for 15 days or 30 days. Now almost 3 months over, still we are in the lockdown period, and there is no surety about when we'll go out, we'll meet our friends and family members. Okay? So there are a lot of problems, and this all the problem put pressure over us and created stress, anxiety, and depression. Some can recognize the symptoms of stress, anxiety, and depression sad, and some cannot identify, because this will be mutually, it will be similar to other common symptoms. So we are supposed to recognize it. And what is the stress? Stress is a kind of feeling where one may feel being under abnormal pressure. So this abnormal pressure may comes from either day-to-day life, which include workload or professional period or financial crisis, or in an argument with your family members or friends. You can ask your spouse to cook any one dish at a time. If you're asking 3 or 4 dishes, what will happen? The increased workload may create pressure or stress over your spouse. Correct? And your wife is asking you to clean your car. At the same time, she's asking to clean your bike also. So if you're cleaning everything one by one, you may have a lot of pressure. So without your knowledge, you will get a pressure. And anxiety. So anxiety is an emotion characterized by feeling of tension and worried thoughts. And this may produce a lot of physical changes like increased blood pressure. And some of the symptoms of this anxiety are sweating, trembling, dizziness, and rapid heartbeat. If you have any of these symptoms, you must consult your doctor. Okay, otherwise you have to do a lot of natural way to heal the anxiety. And depression. So during the lockdown period, we can see many people, okay, feel depression. And we can see some of the patients, those are admitted for the treatment of COVID, because of the stress, anxiety, and depression, they committed suicide. The reports says that some people committed suicide once they diagnosed with the COVID. Right. So this is a serious and uncommon medical illness, and this may put a lot of physical and emotional changes almost all aspects of a person's life. Apart from the stress, anxiety, so now the government need enough amount of income, because they can't get the turnover or the income from people. So what they do, they are opening all the alcohol shop or the liquor shops. Now people, before opening the liquor shop, people used to say, I don't have money for the day-to-day expense. But now you see how much money they're spending for the alcohol. Right. So we are spending alcohol, we are spending our saved money for the alcohol and other things. So the alcohol may create a lot of immune suppression, and also lack of sleep. We are not getting adequate sleep. If we have enough time, we have more time. Okay, 24 hours are there for us, but we are not spending enough time for the sleep. An unhealthy diet, then dehydration. Even though we are at home, we are not taking adequate quantity of water. Even me, when I'm going to office, I used to take 3 liters of water per day, but now I'm taking almost 1.5 to 2 liters. Almost 1 liter is reduced. And lack of exercise. You are not at all doing any exercise. Okay, we are doing simple works at home, but we are not doing any exercise. We are not walking. And some people think that it is a pressure, so they are used to smoke. Smoking is increased, but they don't know that smoking can cause the immune suppression or disturb the immune system. So all these things harming the immune system and produce a lot of pressure. For healthy people, if you want to be healthy, you need healthy body as well as healthy mind. Okay, the physical health as well as mental health, both are very, very essential to become happy. If you don't have any one of this, you can't become a happy man. Maybe you have enough amount of money, but you will not have good health. So you can't be a happy man because money cannot decide your happiness. Right? So both physical and mental health is very, very essential to become a happy man. Okay. A study says that 1 in 10 patients received some form of physical health checkup during the COVID period. Okay, so among this 1 in 10, almost 60% of adults had any form of mental health or physical health comorbidities. And 1 in 3 adults smoked tobacco during the lockdown period. So study says that, I'm not telling the thing, because study says 1 in 3 adults are smoking. Okay. Coming to the stress mechanism, whenever you are in stress, the stress hormone level will be more, the cortisol level will be more. So this cortisol and the stress hormone, what will happen? It may affect your immune system. It can act on the adrenal gland. The adrenal cortex, adrenal medulla, both are very, very essential for producing the erythropoietin. So if you don't have enough amount of erythropoietin, what will happen? You cannot synthesize enough amount of the blood cells. At the same time, it affects your lymph node. So lack of lymph node, function or suppression of lymph node may produce lack of the T cells. So finally, we will end up with lack of immunity. So the stress produces increased heart rate as well as blood pressure. Apart from that, it impacts the stress hormone on immune process and leads to corticosteroid suppression and immune system. So the corticosteroid suppresses the immune system. This may lead to lack of immunity and also produces disturbances in the gastrointestinal system. You may have some gastrointestinal problems or complications. So all this put together and causing increased risk for diseases. So apart from this, the stress can cause changes in your skin, that is skin texture, it can change your skin texture or the tone or loss of stress. It can produce thinner skin, and it can affect your immune system, and actually it can produce hormonal changes, imbalance in the hormone, and it can produce some changes in the calcium absorption. So lack of calcium absorption will produce bone, produce a demineralization. And it can produce changes in your brain. You may have fatigue, reduced concentration, all these things. It also produces changes in your heart rate will be more, and elevation of blood pressure. And it produces changes in the gut. It may produce nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, all gastrointestinal problem, and lack of GI motility, all the things. Okay, and apart from that, it produces muscle breakdown, so you may have muscle pain. So stress is not a simple thing. It can change the entire body system. So how can we cope up with the COVID problem, or how can we improve our immunity during the COVID lockdown period? So there are 9 points you can consider. One is sleep, another one is whole plant diet, healthy diet, fermented foods or probiotic supplement, less sugar intake, exercise, stay hydrated, manage your stress levels, herbal and vitamin supplements. So these points you can consider to boost up your immunity. I will give a brief summary of all these points one by one. We know that the sleep is very, very essential. We are not spending time with office work, but we are spending most of the time, as doctors said, the previous speaker said, we are spending, even the doctors encouraging us to use the mobile phones, WhatsApp, they're encouraging us to communicate through the social media. But what we are normally using, we are watching media and we are using chatting with our friends, and most of the time, we are spending time in the social medias, using electronic gadgets, but we are spending only less time, right? So the lack of sleep as well as a stressful situation and worrying can impair your sleep, and poor sleep can negatively affect your mood and delay functioning when awake. Okay, if you're not sleeping today, tomorrow you cannot work properly. correct? So there will be a disturbance will be there in your daily work. And good quality sleep and good quantity of sleep also, both are very essential for the immune system to do the normal function. As well as the important to maintain good sleep habit throughout the uncertain period is very, very essential. So whenever you are sleeping good, if you have adequate quantity of sleep, you may improve your immune system, you can repair the body system, you can have a good health for your heart. It is good for your heart. The sleep can reduce stress and it can improve our memory. It can control the whole body weight and also improve our well-being. So these are some of the benefits of sleeping, adequate quantity of sleep. Okay. So there are some simple rules. How can we get good sleep? How can we get good quantity and quality of sleep? So there are some simple rules. Just follow your routine bedtime schedule. If you're going to bed 10 o'clock, every time you follow the 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. If you're changing your bedtime, you will not get good sleep. So follow your routine bedtime schedule and avoid using electronic gadgets at least 30 minutes before taking the bed. You're supposed to switch off your mobile phones or put in a silent mode or keep aside and don't use any electronic media. Okay. If you want to do some exercise, you can do some relaxation exercises for 30 minutes before the sleep. It will give you good quality sleep, sound sleep. Okay. And if you're not getting sleep, just read some books. Reading books will give you good quantity sleep. And I'm asking you to read books, but not Facebook. Okay. Remember that you're not supposed to read your Facebook. Okay. And using dark room or minimal light source is very, very essential to get a good quality sleep. Quite a low noise room is favorable. It will give a deep sleep. And practice a deep breath exercises then and there. It will give you good relief from the stress as well as you can get good sleep. The second point is whole plant diet. Okay. Now, our family members, we are at home 24/7. We are at home. What they are doing at home, we are not concentrating on the food. We are not giving more importance for the food. Okay, we are thinking that this is a trial period to taste different kinds of food. We are not guinea pig for the testing, but we are not thinking that we are using our body as a testing animal to taste different kinds of food. What will happen? I'm sure that after the lockdown period, we can get in the hospital. We can get a lot of patients with cholesterol, hyperlipidemia, diabetes, hypertension, all the metabolic disorders, because we are not concentrating on the food. We are simply spending a lot of time for tasting different kinds of food. There is no mean of taking all these things. So if you want to reduce your stress, okay, you can take cherries, banana, lemon, broccoli, cabbage, all these things you can take to reduce your stress. If you want to reduce anxiety, you can take some fruits like avocado, asparagus, almonds, you can take blueberries, orange. So these are some of the things you can take, natural foods you can take to reduce your stress and anxiety. And always use different kind of oil. Don't use the same oil, use different kind of oil. Preferably you can use olive oil or grapeseed oil and unsaturated fat, and limit your red meat intake and use more amount of grains, nuts, vegetables, and eat omega-3 fatty acid foods. So this will give you good quality of life. Okay. And a study in University in New South Wales says that bad diet damages the immune system even before it turns to fat. Before turning into fat, it damages the immune system. After that, it turns into fat. So be conscious about your food. So this, you can see this picture. This picture gives about the calorie intake according to your calorie. You can calculate your calorie using online software. So you can calculate your calorie in necessary or the requirement. Based on the calorie requirement, you can choose any of these products according to the requirements. Okay, and always use the food pyramid. You can take vegetables and whole grains, legumes, healthy fats, leafy green vegetables, fruits all the time. So this will help you to get good sound health. Okay. So please remember that diet is not a cure. This is a lifestyle. Okay, you have to practice diet as a lifestyle. And healthy fat. So food. So we know that there are two different types of fat: good cholesterol and bad cholesterol. Okay, we are always talking about bad cholesterol. These are the cholesterol you are not supposed to take, but we are not educating people what are the cholesterol we can take, right? So there are some good cholesterol or healthy fat that you can consume, like the walnuts, peanut butter, olives, ground flaxseed, soya beans, salmon, avocado. These are some of the food items having healthy fat. So these things you can take. Instead of educating patient, don't take this one. We have to educate the patient. What are the things we can take? So we have to educate them as healthcare professionals. We have to educate them, or if you, as an educated, you can educate your family members, the uneducated family members. You can tell them these are the things we are supposed to take during the COVID lockdown period to improve our health. And the next one is fermented foods and probiotic supplement. As you know that during the lockdown period, there are a lot of restrictions. Even though you have some of health issues or illness, you cannot simply go and get treatment from the hospital. The hospital is asking you, if you have any of these COVID symptoms, you come and get advice. Otherwise, be at home, right? So now, instead of concentrating on the drug, concentrate on your food. Take some fermented food or probiotic supplement. This will give you good, healthy body. So the enzymes present in the fermented food will help you to absorb a lot of nutrients from your stomach, and it reduces the need of vitamins and supplements. So always use fermented food. Even curd you can take daily. You can take curd. Okay, and also probiotic supplements. The probiotics, these are the good bacteria. The probiotic having good bacteria. The good bacteria restore balance in the gut and digestion, and also it will balance the digestion as well as immune health. Okay, and the lactic acid present in the fermented food will help you to kill the E. coli. It is your organism produces a lot of complications in the body, and also making your food very, very safer. So you can take any fermented foods or probiotic supplements. Okay, and porridge is another very good food you can take during the lockdown period. Okay. So these are some of the items you can take now. And study on the study was carried out to check the review article says that the beneficial effects of probiotic consumption on the immune system. So if you're taking probiotic regularly, it will improve your immune system. You can fight against any type of illnesses. And another study says that oral probiotic supplementation can stimulate the immune system in a stress process. Okay, so the probiotic administration in stress period will improve the intestinal barriers, and the probiotic stimulate the gut immune system, and it can protect your body from the enteropathogen infection. Okay. And next one is less sugar. As I said earlier, now we are in the lockdown period, 24/7 we are in the lockdown, and simply we are taking, can you prepare 1 cup of coffee? Can you prepare for me 1 cup of tea? Okay. Always we are our intake of coffee or tea, the sugary drinks are increased. Either we are taking coffee or tea, or we are taking some amount of the bottled beverages. Instead of taking water, we are taking a lot of juices. Okay, instead of taking fruit juices, we are taking bottled the beverages. So high sugar consumption can damage your immune system. Okay, then and there, especially refined sugar present in the food damage the immune system. And eating sugar can weaken the immune system. A study says that consuming too much of sugar can affect the cells in our immune system that target the bacteria. If you're taking too much of sugar, normally whenever the pathogen enters into our body bodies produce the T cells, B cells, and attack the organs. Correct. So the way how the immune cells respond to the organism will be impaired when you are taking more amount of sugars. Finally, we'll end up with metabolic complications like diabetes, hypertension, dyslipidemia, all these things because of the more amount of sugar intake. The high sugar intake affects the cellular as well as humoral response even in the flies. The Drosophila is a fly. Okay, it is a fruit fly. Even though that fly formed surviving, so even though that fly generated within the fruit itself, even that sugar, high concentration of sugar is toxic for this fly. Okay, so it can damage not only the human being, even the flies. Okay, so what you have to do is we have to reduce the sugar intake, the refined sugar intake. And the next one is exercise. The exercise, now we are at home, we are not at all doing any exercises. Even when we are going for a job, we used to walk from one place to another place, or we used to walk from one place, home to the bus stop, or some form of exercise we are supposed to do. But now we are not doing any exercises. We are simply sitting at home. That is, a sedentary lifestyle. So this sedentary lifestyle will create a lot of pressure. The stress hormones such as adrenaline and cortisol reduced by exercises. If you're doing exercise, you can reduce the stress hormone level, as well as you can stimulate the production of endorphin. The endorphin is a natural body painkiller and mood elevator. If you're doing exercise, you can reduce your pain, you can improve your body function, as well as you can reduce the stress hormone production. There are two types of exercise: high intensity exercise and low intensity exercise. I'm not asking you to do high intensity exercise. If you did something, I'm not asking you to go for gym. Okay, don't do any high intensity exercise. If you did something wrong, you cannot go to hospital now. It's a lot of tedious procedure. So do mild and moderate intensity exercises. This will help you to release endorphins. Okay, and also the low intensity exercise helps you to produce a protein called neurotropic factors. So this neurotropic factors and endorphins improve the brain function, as well as it will improve your immunity. And the next one is stay hydrated. As I said earlier, when I'm going to job office, I used to take 3 liters of water, minimum 3 liters of water per day. And I used to take only 1 cup of tea in a week. I used to take only 1 cup of tea in a week, but I used to take 3 glasses of water. 3 liters of water. But what I'm doing now, I'm taking 3 cup of tea every day. 3 cup of tea, not a small glass, almost 300 ml. 300 into 3, 900 ml. I'm taking coffee or tea, and I'm taking only 1.5 to 2 liter of water. So staying hydrated means you have to take water. It doesn't mean that you can take coffee or tea to become hydrated. Okay, and if there is a formula to calculate how much water you can take. Maybe you can calculate later, and you can based on your requirement, you can take the water intake. And if you feel that you are infrequent in urination, or if your urine is dark in color, if you have any dry mouth or cracked lips, feel you have repeated headache and blurred vision, and if you have any muscle cramping, it indicates that you have dehydration. You are in dehydration. So you have to take enough quantity of water. If your body temperature is high, because this is summer in India, right? So if you feel your body temperature is high, you have to take enough quantity of water. The adequate quantity of water will reduce all these complications. Okay, and you may have some doubt whether I'm hydrated or dehydrated. Even though I'm taking enough quantity, whenever you feel thirst, we are taking water, right? So you may have some doubt whether I'm hydrated or dehydrated. Just check the chart here. From 1 to 8, if your level is, if your urine color is more than 3, 4, or more than 3, it indicates that you are dehydrated. You have to take adequate quantity of plenty of water. And if your urine is very dark in color, such as if your urine is the 0.8, you must consult a doctor. It is a serious complication will be there. You have to consult a doctor, get adequate treatment. So instead of thinking about a doctor, think yourself. It is a natural way. Take good quantity of water, okay, to improve your health. And keep hydrated on a regular basis, especially when it is cold or flu season. So now it is a cold and flu season. You may not think about whether you're having COVID or not COVID. Okay, drink more amount of water. This adequate quantity of water will wash out all the organisms from your body, the pathogen from our body, and also helps in immunity development. Okay, and how can you manage your stress level? Already we discussed some of the points here. How can we manage our stress? There are some natural therapies to control stress, anxiety, and depression. We can do some exercise. We can do some meditation, deep breathing exercise. We can do sleeping, writing, time management. Instead of postponing the work, we have to complete all our work then and there. Fix a timeline. Which one should be completed first? Which one should be completed last? Which one should be discarded? Okay, so time management is very, very essential. Avoid smoking, alcohol use, as well as drugs, and take adequate quantity, proper balanced diet. Take herbal supplements. Aromatherapy you can practice. Reduce your caffeine intake. Spend time with your family, friends, and animals. Okay, and you can laugh whenever you feel. Just make a bit of comedy, or tell some jokes to your family members and laugh. Hear part of music. Do some yoga, and if you are a couple, you can cuddle with your partner. Okay, so cuddling will reduce the stress level and avoid common triggers of sad. Now you may have whether I'm stressful, whether I'm okay, or I have some amount of stress. You have some doubt, right? Just will check whether you are in stressful situation or non-stressful situations. Okay. Is there any problem in the slide? You can see here, there are 2, 4 are there. Even though we are concentrating on the presentation, even though we feel that we are non-stressful, you can see here, there is a problem in the slide. There are 2, 4, sleep and writing. Correct. Another problem is there. You can see the left side items don't have any bullet point, but the right side items are having bullet point. Have you noticed this before? Have you noticed this before? No, right? Because even though we are concentrating, we are seeing the slides, we are focusing on the slides, there is some form of stress are there that impair our concentration level. Right. So without our knowledge, without the symptoms, we have some form of stress. Okay. And the next one is herbal supplements. Okay. So herbal supplements, these are the some of the products approved by FDA as well as the Indian government, Malaysian government, almost all the healthcare authority, and it is available as a OTC product. You can see it. So you can take valerian root and the St. John's root, St. John's wort to elevate your mood, and you can take the ashwagandha to improve your anxiety, to get recovery from anxiety and stress relief. And another one is you can take kava. It will reduce your stress level and improve your mood. And chamomilla also you can take. So these are some of the herbal product you can buy from the pharmacy and you can consume it. It is OTC product, doesn't need any prescription from a doctor. And next one is the immune system booster. As you know that the government is asking, along with the Kabasura water, the Ayush asking us to take zinc, vitamin C, iron supplements, vitamin E, vitamin A, and B6. You can buy some vitamin preparation, the multivitamin preparation from the pharmacy, and you can consume it. So the multivitamin preparations are available as a OTC product. You can consume it. If you worry about the drug, you can take any of this, product. These products having high amount of zinc, vitamin C, iron, and all these minerals or vitamins, so you can improve your immune system. Okay, and this is the last slide of my presentation today. There is a take-home message: be simple. Don't expect too much from anyone. Okay, the expectation will produce a lot of pressure, anxiety, and depression. You can ask your wife to prepare one biryani at a time. You can't ask your wife to prepare 3 or 4 different types of biryani, right? This will create a lot of pressure over your wife, as well as if she's scolding back, you will get a lot of pressure. Correct. And be mindful, whatever you are doing, be mindful. Keep hydrated, drink plenty of water, be energetic, take good quality food, good quantity food, balanced diet, be enthusiastic. Okay, always be positive, optimistic. Try to see positive items in always all the things. Don't watch the social media, the news channels, then and there. They will create a lot of pressure, right? And fun and play with your family members. Age is just a number. Don't think about age. Maybe you are 60, 40, 50, whatever it may be. Age is just a number. Never mind. Fun and play with your family members. There are a lot of ancient games are there. Simple games. You can play with your family members, kids, wife. Okay. And timely completion of tasks. Don't postpone any work. Complete your work then and there. Prioritize the work according to your requirement and the necessary. Just make it on time. Timely completion of tasks. Have adequate rest. Don't use a mobile phone always 24/7. Use a mobile phone whenever necessary, and the remaining time you can use it for productive work. I heard a news from India. There is one university in Chennai. During the lockdown period, they published almost 400 research articles. Research and review articles. They are using this lockdown period wisely, and they published 400 papers within a short span of 3 months. As I published almost 4 papers in this period, and 2 more papers are accepted in the lockdown period. So use of time wisely, and it is your life. Remember that it is your life. Families are most important than your job. Don't think about the job. The job will come and go. You may get a good position also, but think about your family. Don't be more stressful. And this is not the end, and the best yet to come. Okay, I'm not going to say the coronavirus going to end now. Maybe the coronavirus will end tomorrow, day after tomorrow, maybe next year, or it will end. Okay, but end will be there. But this is not the end for anything. Best yet to come. Be patient. Be positive. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
If you have any
Dr. Palaniswamy, for your very important session. Now I request Dr. Gampa to give his remarks on the session.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Palaniswamy. Your lecture is very useful. I want to conclude only one thing: prevention is better than cure. So you are highlighted the way, which is very important nowadays. There is no drug for disease. There is no any medication for this disease. Instead of going for curing, prevention is better than cure, and then it is then very useful to increase our resistance power. Our resistance power, just like immunity. And then your suggestions were increases immunity and can protect ourselves from corona. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. I can see in the Facebook, also in the social media, there are a lot of people are posting that I tried this dishes today. Correct. So we can see in our group, in the family, with the Facebook group, we can see there are a lot of postings we can see through what is that? This dishes I tried, this chicken, this mutton, this lot of oily products they are using. Okay. We are not doing any work, and we are using our body as a guinea pig, and we are testing all the materials by using our mouth. Maybe without our knowledge, we are simply damaging our immune system.
Yeah, it's right. If you are having a good resistance power against diseases, there is no need to go for treatment. That's what prevention is better than cure. Nowadays, we are moving towards backward direction. Long 3-4 decades back, our mother and then grandmother used to say how turmeric is important, how go is important, and all. Now we are implementing same thing. Thank you.
So even though we have 1.3 millions of people, we have enough amount of immunity because of our natural food. When compared to other people, we are using a lot of antiseptic, anti-inflammatory property products,
Antibiotic,
antibacterial,
antifungal.
yeah, correct.
Yes.
So naturally, we are taking all the chemical substance inside. It helps to improve our immunity.
Comparatively, whole world, our food is good.
Yeah, good.
Now we have a very beautiful guest with us, Dr. Zareen. Dr. Zareen Hussain, the most diversified and pioneer healthcare professional, entrepreneur, and philanthropist in Bangladesh, with significant accomplishment in all arena where she stepped in. Dr. Zareen is the founder, director, and CEO of Integro Pharma Limited, which constitutes of a manufacturing plant in Oman. Over the last decade, Dr. Zareen has become an influential voice in the country for establishing women empowerment, gender violence, and stop child marriage. Dr. Zareen is a committed Zontian and also the charter president of Zonta Club of Greater Dhaka. She is a popular media personality who is anchoring various health-related shows in most of the television channels. Dr. Zareen has a clear mindset and keen eyes to expand her pharma industry in Arab Peninsula, Europe, and US through either acquisition, merger, or technology transfer. As keynote, Dr. Zareen has participated many pharma conferences and scientific congress. We are very pleased to welcome Dr. Zareen on our platform. Dr.
Thank you very much.
Our first question to you is, please explain what is artificial intelligence?
Okay, before I even explain what is artificial intelligence, good evening to all these brilliant speakers who have been listening. And my topic is slightly different than COVID. So you have asked me, and I also want to know, hope all your near and dear ones are fine, out of not suffering from COVID. 19. I hope we can see better future. Answering to your question, artificial intelligence, if I were to say in a lay word for the general audience, is just making a machine intelligent through science and engineering. So what is that it includes? It includes putting some mathematical logic, some statistics, some probabilities, and some computational neurobiology, and all this put in one computer. You're actually mimicking human brain. So that is artificial intelligence. Now, if I were to say, all of us here are in this era of artificial intelligence. The webinar that we are doing is also part of artificial intelligence. Maybe next time, 5 years down the lane, maybe we will have another robot attending the session. Or maybe we won't have to use any laptop, or just, put the goggles and we will have this virtual webinar. So that's how I look at artificial intelligence. So to begin with, about Apple Siri, where you have a robot, you say, oh, I'm depressed, please tell me a joke, or what time is it, or switch off my light, switch on my light. Then we have image and face recording that also falls in artificial intelligence. Like a husband cannot touch the wife's mobile until it's locked, because the face has been recorded. So what happened? Once the wife was sleeping and the husband wanted to open the wife's mobile, he took the wife's mobile and put it in front of the wife's face while she's sleeping. But the mobile wouldn't open because why? Because it did not identify the lady with open eyes. So there you go. So basically, it's feeding data. It's taking data. Now, there are self-driven cars, like to find the most convenient pathway where there is no traffic, and also telling you through Google Map how long it will be, how long we should wait, where there's a congestion, and all these things. And another thing is, which I can give you an example, is newspaper. We have all heard about New York Times and China Daily. So the hard copies are for general public. But if I were to see them online, say I have an affinity to see science fiction or news that's coming up on science. So that newspaper online will see my trend and take the data. And every time I will open the newspaper online, I will see what is happening in the world about science. If I'm addicted to fashion, it will only show that as in the front paper. So that is how artificial intelligence is working. Now, if the Facebook, the Instagram, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, what are they doing? They're taking all our data. Our data are all given out. So we might have 1,000 friends in the Facebook, but in the newsfeed, we see 10 or 4 people, or maybe 15, because we are kind of, detecting, seeing them. We are interested to know about them. So the information has been fed that she likes to see the status of those 5 persons. And if I like to buy something, I'll keep on seeing what I need to buy in Facebook or Instagram. And the sponsors will put it and see that this lady likes to see jewelry or bags or books. So accordingly, all our data is given to artificial. All this data are being analyzed, processed, and they are given. They are printed. They are printed it and they fed it to the machine. So that is artificial intelligence. Now, if I were to talk about the background. It is not a new concept. It has been there. In 1927, there was a science fiction movie where this Metropolis, a Persian girl was there, and from there it started. Then in 1940, I will divide it into 3 segments. In 1940 to 1960, there was a generation of scientists, philosophers, mathematicians. Then there was this young British polymath. His name is Turing. So what he did, times, his policy did not get through because of lack of computer. Because at those times, computers were very high priced and they were so big, like size of a room, and then only top universities could afford them. So it did not. So in 1956, the word artificial intelligence was coined by the author, Minsky McCarthy. He was the one who presented the paper. But unfortunately, in that conference, there were only 6 attendants and 2 speakers. So it also did not gain any popularity or any speed of booming. Now, 1980 to 1990, well, the first Robot 2 was produced by Waseda University in Japan, the robot who could play the organ. And then there was, in 1986, the Mercedes-Benz in Germany, in Munich. They produced a car with sensors and built-in cameras and things like that. But in 1997, marks the real outbreak of artificial intelligence, when we all know the grandmaster in chess was none other than Garry Kasparov. He was beaten by a computer, by IBM Deep Blue. So that was the first revelation. But he took it very positively. He said, out of 5 games, he lost 4 and he won 1. So he told to everybody that, if I had not played with the computer, I probably would not have excelled my thinking process. Now, playing with the computer gave me an edge that I would think even faster. So he took it to a different level by winning 1 and losing 4. And 2010, we see a new bloom based on massive data and new computing power. Google started making a secret car which passed the Nevada test. Then 2009, computer scientists in Northwestern University, they were programming a sport news, which was totally done by artificial intelligence without any human intervention. So all these is nothing. We are in the midst of artificial intelligence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zareen. My second question to you is, what is the implication of artificial intelligence in the medical science and pharmaceutical industry?
Well, I would like to say that in the pharma industry, it will be like faster and cheaper. I'm sure all the pharmacists, it takes 10, 12 years to come out with a vaccine and drug. So all these will be shortened in time framework, because the vaccine we are working now on, all the countries, the 100 companies that are working with the COVID-19 vaccine, you have to first identify the genotype of the virus, which was done in a day in China, and then so they are hastening it up, and because of artificial intelligence, the production, the pace is running fast. That's why the scientists are saying that it will take 12 to 18 months to come up with a vaccine. Then there will be like phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So they are doing it in very little amount of individuals, where they're doing phase 1, then probably phase 2. Gillette has done the phase 2 thing, and now Atom-Wise, if I recall, Atom-Wise has probably is together with the University of Toronto and IBM during Ebola pandemic, which sort of took out the medication in less than a day through artificial intelligence. So that is the impact. And a time will come when there will be no animal testing. We don't have to go for animal testing. Everything will be done by mathematical algorithms. And silicos, we will have silico bodies. We don't need to do human trials. You can go on silicos and do the trials, and everything will be hastened, and you can take out a drug within a month or a vaccine within 2 to 3 months, or things like that. And then I'm talking about early detection and disease, like, now the point of care is the hospital, right? When we are sick, we go to the hospital, to the doctor. The point of care will be your home. You will have a stethoscope, digital stethoscope. You will have, which can record your heartbeat, your lung sound, then your ECG. Then you will have the ED machine. Then you will have smart toilets where their sensor will be fixed, where you all what you urinate will be analyzed and saved in the cloud. And then a mirror, when you get up in the morning, the mirror will say your daily schedule, and then also record tell you your pressure, your pulse, then your CO2 elimination as you breathe, then also whether you're stressed or not. It will also record. It will also say that. So these are the impacts that will have to artificial intelligence, and also I would say a tattoo. Why go there? Maybe you will have a small tattoo which will have a sensor and record all your molecular structure, your genome, and then your metabolism, because every individual has a different metabolic rate. They have different molecular structure. So everything will be recorded. You will have a data, your sensor, all of this data will be saved in the cloud, and it will be saved and it will go to your GP. And if there is any problem, he will get an alarm. He will say, oh, Serene, I think you've got to be careful with your sugar. Stop taking sugar, and I have to be careful. So all these are there. And then again, I would like to talk about the supply chain. In the supply chain, well, the first thing is counterfeit drugs, serialization of the drug. You can stop that, because once you've serialized, you can sort of see that no counterfeit drug are taken. I will tell you a story, because during this COVID-19, when it started, I was in Turkey, and obviously I got stuck. I went for a day, and then I was supposed to come back the next day. But it happened, I had to take diazepam because I was stressed. And I usually take 5 milligram. It didn't work. 10 milligram, 20, 30, 40 milligram. It did not work. So I took out a strip and just crushed the tablet. To me, it looked like talcum powder. So in the age of COVID, so all these drugs are making place because of the scarcity. So all that will be gone. Now, if the drug, now another thing is, if you take a drug, and after swallowing, whether you've taken it, there'll be a sense attached to a drug, and it will see if you're swallowing it, you're digesting it, you're metabolizing it, and it's whether it is going to the right side or not. So in 2016, 2015, FDA approved the first drug product which is combined with a digestive sensor to see whether it's being digested. So like a mental patient, he doesn't know whether, he's supposed to have drug. Maybe next time, in his next visit to the doctor, he will go and say, yes, I've taken the drug. But the record will say, no, he has not taken the drug at all. So then it will be easy for the doctor to sort of adjust the dose and increase the dose or decrease the dose. And we will be having customized drugs, like 3D drugs. Like, say, I'm hypertensive, and I need, say, amlodipine 5. We manufacture amlodipine 5 and amlodipine 10, but probably I don't need amlodipine 5 or 10. Probably I only need 1.75 milligram. So there will be customized according to my genome, according to my molecular weight, according to my body weight, according to my metabolism. I will get my own customized pill, which will take care of my blood pressure. In the house, we have what you call a kitchen, then we have a media room, then probably we'll have a pharmacy room where we can make our own, we'll buy the ingredients and we will make through 3D printers our own pills. And then we're looking at polypills, like I have to take so many pills, vitamins, blood pressure, some energy pills and all that. Maybe I would not like to take all of them. Maybe I will put all of them in one small pill and then have it. So these are the changes that I'm looking with artificial intelligence in the pharma and in the medical world.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Will artificial intelligence replace or reduce the job market of pharmacists or healthcare professional in future?
Well, that is a little bit of tricky because, as I said, technology is taking over and you don't know what's coming. Unless you prepare yourself for technology, you have to sit on the shoulder of the technology, not the other way around. So, like weak technologies, like people who are weak, like Siri, maybe people who run Siri will not get job. Who are weak, they will lose a job. But then pharmacists like Vikram and all these big speakers of today might get a job in Google to feed the computer with the molecular structure to do the algorithms. And I won't be surprised if a doctor also joins Google or
Excuse me,
IBM,
ma'am.
or for all these. So there
Excuse
will
me,
be
ma'am.
job for higher technology people.
Ma'am, your sound is echo. Please turn off your computer sound. Yeah, ma'am. Now speak.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Now
What
you can
will be the
continue.
landscape of future pharma industry according to you? The future pharma will take like after 10 years or 20 years from now.
20 years of now, if we look with artificial intelligence, farm industry will concentrate more on prevention and early detection through vaccine, and then through genetic testing, and then early detection of disease. Even we are treated when the symptoms come up, but maybe we will be treated even before the symptoms flare. So, like COVID-19, somebody is carrying it for 14 days. We don't know, and then we're taking it. Maybe there will be a way to find out that this person is carrying this germs within him, and then we'll be able to detect. Then customized medication, as I said earlier, like according to my molecular structure, DNA structure, I will have customized pills. Then curative therapies will be more like not to look after the symptoms, but to destroy the gene at the root level, and all of that. And target cell therapies, huge involvement of AI in fast and cheaper drugs, as I said before, and precision intervention like 3D printing drugs, then nano pills. We already have a nano pill, I think it's called Rani pill, Rani pill which goes to the pancreas. It's a capsule, opens up and goes to the pancreas and gives insulin. So these are the trend I am looking with artificial intelligence. I think a huge tsunami is coming, and before technology takes us over, we should be on top of technology. We should be really prepared. And it's whatever I said, the stethoscope is a symbol of a doctor. But do you know there is a digital stethoscope so small and it is much cheaper than the analog one? And it not only it detects and records the heart sound and the lung sound, but we have not seen any doctors using it. So we have to do a continuous process of learning and be one step up, boost our technology with our knowledge, so that technologies don't rule us. We are in the driver's seat. So we have to be one up on the technology.
We have been hearing about 3D tablets or robotic pills. What are these things?
The 3D tablets, one 3D tablet is which in 2016 has been approved by USDA. It's called Spritum. It's I think it's been compressed in a fusion method. That is a 3D pill for epilepsy. And robotic pills, which I said, is like a nano pill. It's a capsule. It's a Rani pill, and you take it and then it goes to the side, opens up, takes a needle, and then pushes the drug to the pancreas. So these are the 3D and nano pills. And I am sort of very optimistic that a lot of more things, a lot of devices and pills, and we will not be stuck to the traditional dosage form. There has to be something more innovative. And it is going fast. It is because there are people who like to know about the DNA structure, and then they like to know about the molecular structure, and they can be a partner with the doctor. Now I don't know anything about myself. If a patient comes to me, I will say your pressure is high. But if I have a sensor in my body, I will know everything about myself. Then doctor and I can partner in making a decision. So that is what I'm looking. So patient, the consumer, everything should involve patient. Even if you're making a hospital, you won't believe in Netherlands, they made a hospital where invited the patient to tell them how to design the hospital because it is they who are going to use it, not the doctors. Because for the chronic disease, these are the people who will be going to the facilities. So this is what I'm looking at. And you have, I'm looking at India in a big way because India has Silicon Valley. Why do we have to look at Europe and America? You have the know-how, you know that you have the technique, you have Silicon Valley, and your Google chief, you're all Indian. You come up, you have everything. We are Bangladeshi. We are trying to, but we are still far behind. But India is more advanced. Why should we even go to Europe? We can see having all these things in India because you are gifted with Silicon Valley. You have the manpower, you have the know-how, you know the technology, the everything, and you can collaborate with us. Take your neighbor with us, with yourself, and then make a hub. And we also have a strong pharmaceutical companies where you can do contract manufacturing. So I always, like in my previous webinar, I have been encouraging India, telling that you guys need to run at a fast rate. You will not look at the Western world. India alone is sufficient with Bangladesh.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you very much, Dr. Zareen. You have encouraged us a lot. You have explained a lot about artificial intelligence. I would like to know that what are the implications of artificial intelligence on COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay. So interestingly enough, COVID-19 was detected, I think, on 7th of January by CDC in America. That was through artificial intelligence. I think 9th of January, who declared it as a pandemic? But you will be surprised, through this artificial intelligence, the blue, I think it's a blue spot in Canadian artificial intelligence, they detected 7 days before it was declared pandemic. So this 7 days window was a big time for us, had we known that a pandemic is coming. It did not only forecasted the pandemic, you know how it did by taking the data of the passengers, then voice and other data, and they sort of also said there is going to be outbreak, and the outbreak is going to follow the path. Which path? It will hit Japan. So it also gave that. So artificial intelligence has already worked and working. And artificial intelligence is also working for the vaccine now. And the virus itself, the SARS-CoV-2, which is causing the COVID-19 disease, it was artificial intelligence who detected the molecule, the structure. The structure was detected by artificial intelligence. Now, we will not call artificial intelligence because people get scared and call it augmented intelligence. This augmented intelligence detected the genotype, the virus. Now, if you know the virus, you are ready to make a weapon. So there is where you go with artificial intelligence in COVID-19. And it has speeded up our the vaccination program. So everybody's saying vaccine is coming in October. How? It's all through artificial intelligence.
Thank you very much, Dr. Zareen. Now I request Dr. Gampa to give some reviews on this session.
Yeah, thank you, Miss Anshu. OPFiCON 2020, this is a fantastic program, international webinar. Now, I think so. You asked me to present out of thanks, is it?
Dr. Gampa, your voice is not clear.
Yeah. This is the time to present out of thanks. I thank Dr. Sanjay Agarwal for his valuable presentation of impact on socio-economical, industrial during COVID-19, particularly product-wise, categorically explained about the impact of COVID-19. And I thank Mr. Rakesh, which is very important topic. And nowadays, whole world is looking towards the drugs. The drug can be released to the society after completion of clinical trials. The method of clinical trials explained by Dr. Rakesh, Mr. Rakesh. And then Mr. Pandani Swami for highlighting impact of lockdown during COVID-19, and then self boosting the increases the resistance power, and then how to
Yes, sir.
boost yourself and increase resistance power. And then I am very happy to thank Dr. Zareen for diversified topic chosen, the most widely useful and then most important, and then which is nowadays it is an important to pharmaceutical industry also. And last but not least, I thank OPF and KGRITM team for successful completion of this webinar and resolving the issues in trial version. And also I thank every participant, registered participant, for the grand success of this OPFiCON 2020. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you so much. Take care. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you. And
everyone.
then
Now we have question and answer session. Ms. Harita is asking Dr. Zareen, how should the pharma student equipped in the area of artificial intelligence when it is not specified in the curriculum?
Can you repeat the question again? Can you come again? I can't hear you.
Harita want to ask that artificial intelligence is not in the curriculum. So how should the farmers equipped in the area of artificial intelligence?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, our old age technique should be changed now. Pharmacy is a broad subject. In pharmacy, somebody's working for QC, somebody's working for regulation, somebody's working for R&D. So it should be specified. So our curriculum should be changed because world is advancing. We cannot stick to what 200 years the book that we have been reading. So I'm trying to say that what I'm trying to say is we have to impose this and we have to make a policy that it is a fast-pacing world and the technology is improving. We don't know how technology will take over the world, so we need to bring them in our curriculum. But even though it's not in our curriculum, but we should do our self-study. I mean, whatever I said, I am a doctor, I'm a cardiothoracic anesthesiologist, but I read a lot about artificial intelligence because I want to be a part of this technology. I don't want to falter back. I don't want my job to be gone. I want to be there in the table talk. I should be up to date with the latest technology. So that's why my answer is you do your own study, and also the government should also make policy to sort of put this in the curriculum.
yeah, it's already included in curriculum.
Artificial intelligence.
Yes.
Okay.
I mean,
Even
just to add-
7th standard student is learning about artificial intelligence.
Well, in Bangladesh, it is not. It's not. But I'm trying to put it. I'm trying to incorporate. As I said, we don't have Silicon Valley.
In CBSE syllabus, it has included for since 7th standard onward.
I can't hear it.
Yeah, I think the message that he is conveying, if you can hear, is CBSE Standard 7th has a basic, tenets on the artificial intelligence in the curriculum.
Okay, great.
But I just want to add, if I have a liberty, that there are some of the courses that, some of platform like ETX and Coursera and other things, this will give a wonderful, exposure.
Yeah, I go to Coursera. Yes, I do. Yes. There are some courses, certification courses, which are available. You can do it.
Free of cost money then.
Hello?
And so you can hear us?
Yes. Dr. Sanjay Agrawal, next question is to you. how fast we are going to have the therapy. Even plasma therapy is also an alternate. How we make infrastructure to overcome pandemic COVID-19.
I think this plasma transfusion in India is a very successful therapy. We started in the month of April. We have given to 6 patients in All India Medical Institute, and the success rate was very high. Because what happened with this, one of the speakers said about prevention is better than cure. And the patient who has come with coronavirus, the symptoms are very positive, and he is on moderate stage or severe stage. And that time, the strength of the antibodies is very poor inside the body. In that time, if we give a ready-made antibodies through the plasma, I think the success rate will be very high, and we can save the patient. It has already been tried in India, and in most of the places we have started. We started in Delhi first. Now in other government, Maharashtra government and Uttar Pradesh government, they have already started. And fortunately, the ICM has also given the approval for the plasma transfusion.
Thank you very much, sir. Next question is to Mr. Rakesh. This question is from Harita. What is the scope of Pharma D graduates after pandemic?
So PharmD courses, has a, if I can talk about some of my own experiences, uh, we are running a institute where we are into a, digitalized world. So, in a similar way, the way the PharmD students are, the courses they are trained, they are exposed to, they are one of the best course in the pharmacy that they have. With that background in mind, they can take up some of the research, activities at a hospital where the trials are running in a different role. If you are having a interest or inclinations towards some of the technology, you can join, as a technology part where you can start your career there. Apart from that, organization like us, as I mentioned, we also take a lot of PharmD students as a part of their internship or their experience. Uh, Also, the pharmacovigilance, the COVID, with the post-COVID, the pharmacovigilance regulatory activities, as Dr. Jay mentioned, will increase, and that space will also need the students, especially with the PharmD, who are better equipped with that. So these are some of the area I would, advise. But many times, during some of my interactions with the PharmD students, I have seen that their aspirations are more towards community pharmacy, and there had been a constant dialogues, discussion on that. So, I'm not the right person to comment on the community pharmacies because, my experience is limited. I can talk more on the research side, and these are some of the areas that, student can look to as a career.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh. Another question is to you again, sir. This question is from Badam Reddy ji. He is saying that when drug is prepared for children, how the drugs are examined under clinical trial, because these are not tested on the children's. So he wants to know that how these drugs are tested.
So, very good. Thank you for asking this. So when if you are in a CRO or in a pharmaceutical company, especially into the development of the new drug, so these new drugs can be used for either the, adult population and then for the pediatric population. So most of the time, unless and until there are disease conditions which are only existent in the children, the drug development starts with the adult because they are not exposed to, clearly. Uh, if you see in the US FDA guidelines, they say that all the drug as a part of their mandatory regulatory requirement has to develop for children. So once the safety of these drugs are established, and typically when the drugs are approved, they are seen with 500 to 5,000 patients, or maybe more than that if it is a vaccine kind of studies. So once these drugs are proved okay, if okay means safe and efficacious, then they are tested in a controlled environment to the children. And any trial, when they are done, irrespective, when children is still, I'm a father, so I can understand children is still okay. But if you are in a very compromised situations with, heart failures and some of the hepatic or kidney compromise, there are studies which are done in that special indications, because, drug has to be given to that, right? Clearly. So when the protocols are designed, when the investigations are designed, they are designed with all scientific, social situations taken into consideration, and then it is approved by regulatory agencies to make sure that they are the highest standard. And then before the study is started, commenced at a particular research center, this is seen by ethics committee. Ethics committee is nothing but a composition of multidisciplinary people, composite of basic scientists, clinician, legal person, and social person, which look through all the angle and make sure that these studies, are always in a fine balance, that the exposure or outcome of this clinical research will benefit to the individual or to the society at large. This is how, uh, in a very scientific, ethical manner, the clinical research or the clinical trial in a children can be taken care of.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rakesh. Dear viewer, due to lack of time, we are not taking any more questions. You can mail us all the questions by email ID. Now I request
Can I
Dr.
have two
Gampa to,
messages?
please, ma'am. Sure.
I just want to end with two messages. What I really want to say that instead of looking at Europe and America, India has Silicon Valley, Bangladesh has good structured FDA-approved pharmaceutical plants, good pharmacists, and we can jointly collaborate and do a lot of things instead of looking to Europe and looking to America. This concentrate on us. So this is my small message. And another message is, though in some parts in your state, your curriculum may have artificial intelligence, but in our country it doesn't. But however, every student should be very, very computer savvy. They should know how to do data analysis and things like that. So this will take them further ahead. So these are the message I want to give to India and also for my country to do some joint collaboration with your Silicon Valley, with our FDA-approved plants, and let's do something worthwhile. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Zareen, for this very beautiful message. Now I request Dr. Gampa to say a note of thanks to all the guests presented here.
Yeah, this is a time to present and this is a time to propose vote of thanks. I thank Dr. Sanjay Agrawal for his valuable speech. I thank Dr. Palani for his interesting topic to increase natural resistance or immunity to the human beings, which is important for this situation. I thank Rakesh for very interesting and important topic, clinical trials. Now, whole world is looking towards that release of drug, which can be done by this topic only after completion of the clinical trial. And then I thank Dr. Zareen for her diversified topic, artificial intelligence, which is a new era of science and interesting, and then which is required as an additional qualification to every doctorate and then every postgraduate. I also thank team of the OPF and KGRI team for arranging this webinar and then resolving the things or solving the things during issues arising during trial version. Last but not least, I thank every participant who has patiently listened and which is very important. And then almost of all, half hour is over. Actually, we expected to complete within the period of 4 to 6, but due to interesting questions and then due to interesting topics, we extended another half an hour. Sorry for this. And then thank you one and all. And then if anybody want to view this, you can go for YouTube, and you can expect within 3 to 4 days the participants. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Krishna.
Thank you.
Thank you, Varun. Good luck for
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All attendees, please note that the link for webinar assessment is sent on your mail within next 7 days.
Thank you, Vic.
All the attendees, please note that the link for webinar assessment for your certificate will be sent on your mail next 7 days. You have to fill the webinar feedback and you receive the certificate on your mail. Thank you, sir, for joining with us and sharing your wonderful knowledge on pharmaceutical industries. Thank you so much, sir.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. Namaskar. Namaskar.
Hello.